In the Math 0 to 40 classes for A60s, this is where you will have some differences as before. Now, when we look in here underneath the grading policies, you will see that we actually have some grades instead of just the total final grade as we used to. So in here, we're going to have homework, in-class activities, ALEKS objectives, ALEKS Pi progress goals, and exams. So yes, this class is going to have exams. It's going to have two exams. Now, these exams are not going to run simultaneously at the same time that the 13-14 exams are going to go. These are going to be offset, so they're going to be in between exams for the 13-14. These two exams will come about week 6 or so, and then about week 14. So again, they're going to be in between. And again, it's not going to be at the finals week or anything like that. It will come before then. Uh, these exams, they're going to be covering just the prerequisite topics that are covered in the lab section. No college algebra material unless it would have been taught like in our old 0340 or 0330. In other words, if it would have been taught in a developmental class before and we cover it in this lab section, then yes, we will test on it. Part of the reason why we want to do exams is if a student gets a passing grade in the lab class, remember the lab class is now going to have a standalone grade from the lecture class. If a student passes the lab class and does not pass the lecture class, which is highly possible, then the student then becomes TSI complete. They no longer have to retake the co-requisite class. They can take a regular college algebra class the following semester. If a student passes the lecture 13-14 class and fails the lab class, which again is totally possible, that student is also TSI complete and has passed their college algebra class. So there's actually 3 ways that a student now becomes TSI complete using these co-req classes. The third way is they pass both lab and lecture. So just as before, they pass lab and lecture, they become TSI complete, and they got their college algebra credit. The other way is they pass the college algebra class. Well, they pass the college algebra class, but they fail the lab class. Well, they passed their college level class, so they're TSI complete and they got their credit. Okay, they just failed the lab class, no big deal. The third way is they fail the lecture class, which we've seen a lot of students just haven't been able to get to the college algebra material yet, but they passed that lab class. They're now TSI complete. They no longer have to take the co-req class. They can take just college algebra the next semester. So we have 3 exit points for this class now, instead of just the one. This, I think, will actually help and encourage some of the students. Now, again, like I said before, students must stay enrolled in both courses. So that's going to be a big thing for a lot of our students. So we do want these 2 exams because the students do have to prove that they know this prerequisite material. Otherwise, we can't really give them TSI completion. We're going to have the ALEKS objectives. Now, these are very similar to the ALEKS objectives that we used to have in the college algebra. We have taken out the actual college algebra material that we used to use, like as the final exam review, things of that nature. That is not in here because, again, this is the class for prerequisites only. The college algebra material class is for college algebra. Now we will have to cover some prerequisites over here in this 13-14 because they need a little bit extra help. We're not going to cover college algebra material over here, and we're not going to test over college algebra material over here. So none of these assignments are going to have college algebra material. The PI progress, they're going to have two checkups. They're going to have one that they need to have 50% of the PI completed, and then one at the end of the semester where they have 100% of the PI completed. Now, this class, we did add back in the scheduled and intermittent knowledge checks. That's going to bog down some students, but we did add those back in, so some of their topics may get put back down and they may have to redo them because we do want this to make them actually learn it and not just get through it. They have to actually know it, so they may lose a couple of topics, and that's why it's high progress, because they actually have to master those topics. And it's not just, okay, I completed my objectives, I got that 100. Well, they could get 100 here on all of those objectives and still not complete their PI because of those scheduled knowledge checks and everything. So we do need to make sure that we pay attention to that. The homework and in-class activities. Now, this is where your writing assignments are going to come in because those are developmental type materials. The students are also going to have to attend class. There's going to be 4 attendance grades taken, and it's going to be every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks they get an attendance grade. Each attendance grade will be 25% or 25 points. So each class is like 25 points. And so for every class they miss, get 25 points taken off. But this is averaged in with all the other grades. So even if they miss a class or something and get a 75, nope, not a huge deal. But we're wanting them to actually attend class. The lab instructors are going to add other assignments here, and they're going to be either in-class assignments like participation or anything like that. Don't want a lot of homework because we don't want to add to it, but it's mostly going to be in-class participation worksheets. And that is where the shared Google Drive, let me come back over to the shared drive in the co-requisites. For 0240, you have the schedule of topics to cover. Now, these topics to cover, you're not necessarily going to have to teach over these topics. Maybe show 1 or 2 examples of adding and subtracting polynomials, and then come into this worksheets if you want to. And I have some different worksheets already created. Add, subtract polynomials. These are made with CUDA software, but these are some that I've actually created. We actually have a license for CUDA software now. And I have created 3 different versions for every single one of these worksheets that you can use. So you can use version 1, 2, or 3. But pretty much you can go and look at the schedule and almost pull a worksheet for any one of these topics. And these are going to be not necessarily the students filling them out, completing them, getting a grade. It's going to be them working on the board, working in groups. Did they actually participate not just sitting at their own desk individually. Were they actually participating? Were they actually learning? And part of it's going to be a judgment call. Most of the time, I'm going to say yes, they did. But if they didn't, it's going to be very obvious. Were they sleeping during class? No, they didn't participate then. Um, Also, on the attendance grade, I have put in the stipulation that if a student misses more than 10 minutes of class, they will be counted absent. This is a 50-minute class, so they have to be there at least 40 minutes of the class to be counted as attending. This is stipulated in their attendance checks. So kind of make sure that your students know this when you talk to them about that. So again, these classes have now separated. The students are now going to have an ALEKS, two different ALEKS accounts, one for college algebra and one for 0240. They will be working in both. That's part of the reason why we wanted these to be deep integrated, because they go to their course and they click on the assignment, or on their homepage, they'll see the to-do list. They can click on that assignment. On their calendar, they can click on the assignment. It will take them directly to that individual class. So when they get into ALEKS, eventually they will have two different cards showing up on their ALEKS. They'll have a 1314 card and a 0240 card. They are not going to be purchasing two different ALEKS accounts though. We have made arrangements where they purchase one access code and they will get both accesses. So it's not like we're making them purchase two access codes. It's still going to be the same purchase as previously. Now, if you have questions, I know that I've thrown a lot of stuff at you, but if you have questions, please let me know. Rewatch the video a time or two before you ask me, because I may have answered it here, but I may not have. But I'll be glad to help you throughout the semester. I'll be sending emails, checking up with people, and everything else as we go through. So I hope everybody has a great semester.